How are you ding-dong diddly doing there, gamerinos? Hope you're having a flanderific day. um, Talking to G right now. Okay. Unfortunately, G can't be here with us today because that's kind of my fault. Um, I got really late going on it. I've also been super distracted. I got most of the videos done. Last week it was like 50 videos, and then it was 20, now it's 13. Part of the problem is I realized that, let's see here, I think we're missing at least 5 videos. That's why. Like, we got through a lot of it. There's 5 videos. I guess I had written down the titles, but I never uploaded them, and we lost them. So there's just like some missing episodes that are scattered throughout. Couple of Lego Star Wars, mostly Hogwarts Legacy though. A big stretch. From like you know what? I'll mark it down. I'll mark it down in the video, or in the YouTube video. Be like, well, we missed some. We can't be perfect. So why don't we talk about someone who is? All right. Matthew chapter 16. Some Pharisees and Sadducees who came to Jesus wanted to trap him, so they asked him to perform a miracle for them to show that God approved of him. But Jesus answered, "When the sun is setting, you say, 'We are going to have fine weather,' because the sky is red. And early in the morning you say, 'It is going to rain,' because the sky is red and dark. You can predict the weather by looking at the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs concerning these times." What? Let's see what the ESV has to say. Okay, no, that says the exact same thing. I mean, I get what it's going at. I just want to see if there's a... Yeah, I don't know. Weird. Not how I would have worded it, but okay. I'm not sure what... We're going to have fine weather because the sky is red. But it's going to rain because the sky is red and dark. Okay, alright. You cannot interpret the signs concerning these times. How evil and godless are the people of this day. You ask for a miracle? No. The only miracle you will be given is the miracle of Jonah. So he left them and went away. When the disciples crossed over to the other side of the lake, they forgot to take any bread. Jesus said to them, "Take care and be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees and the Sadducees." They started discussing among themselves, "He says this because we didn't bring any bread." Jesus knew what they were saying, so he asked them, "Why are you discussing among yourselves about not having any bread? What little faith you have! Don't you understand yet? Don't you remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000 men? How many baskets did you fill? And what about the 7 loaves for the 4,000 men? How many baskets did you fill? How is it that you don't understand that I was not talking about bread? Guard yourselves from the yeast of the Pharisees and the Sadducees." Okay, so he's just saying, like, you don't want to be like them. Because if you, I guess, take their teachings to heart, it's going to be like the yeast in bread. That's what I'm assuming he's saying here. I think that is kind of funny that, like, they would be freaking out about having no food, considering, like, Jesus said there was the 5,000 and then the 4,000, and and they're just kind of like worried that they don't have any food. Then the disciples understood that he was not warning them to guard themselves from the yeast used in bread, but from the teachings of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Wow, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Just what I said. Jesus went to the territory near the town of Caesarea Philippi, where he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" "Some say John the Baptist," they answered. "Others say Elijah, while others say Jeremiah or some other prophet." "What about you?" he asked them. "Who do you say I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." "Good for you, Simon, son of John," answered Jesus. Okay, and let me just go ahead and say, yeah, that's the sound of the Quran being blown the fuck out. That is Jesus right there, pretty black and white, saying, "Say my name," and then they go, "You're right." So yeah, that whole Jesus never claims divinity bullshit is just bullshit, because we see it right here. Again, let me just rewind the tape real quick. "What about you?" he asked them. "Who do you say I am?" Verse 15. This is verse 15 here. What do you say about them? He asked them. Or what about you? He asked them. "Who do you say I am?" Verse 16. Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Verse 17. "Good for you, Simon, son of John," answered Jesus. "For this truth did not come to you from any human being, but it was given to you directly by my Father in heaven." Okay. So yeah, there you go. That just destroys that whole argument right there. And since we've left it in pieces, let's go on to verse 18. "And so I tell you, Peter, you are a rock, and on this rock foundation I will build my church, and not even death will be able to overcome it." Okay, give me 1 sec. Alright, so had to blow my nose real quick. But verse 18 here is very important. Not as important as 16 or 17, but 18 is pretty important to Catholics, because this verse basically tells them that Peter is the first pope. Not that I subscribe to the whole pope thing, but that's where that comes from, right there, verse 18. 19. "I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. What you prohibit on earth will be prohibited in heaven. What you permit on earth will be permitted in heaven." Then Jesus ordered his disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. From that time on, Jesus began to say plainly to his disciples, "I must go to Jerusalem and suffer much from the elders and the chief priests and the teachers of the law. I will be put to death, but 3 days later I will be raised to life." Wow. That's a pretty huge prediction there. You know what? Let me search. Take a look at the King James. I want to see if he says that, like, right in black and white, right there. Well, I mean, here, even in the King James, this is the original King James. It says right here. Once again, I need to bring this up because it's so important. Verse 15, "He saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am?" Verse 16, "And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." 17, "And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bajora, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven." So, and by the way, that's really important because the King James is like one of the most uh, word for word accurate translations of the Bible. So if it's in here, it's pretty important. Um, From that time forth began Jesus to shew unto his disciples how he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and raised again on the holy shit. That is wild. I don't know how I never remembered like learning about this. That Jesus just casually like tells them, "Yeah, I'm the Messiah. They're gonna kill me, but it's gonna be cool. I'll be back in 3 days." That's wild. I I don't remember this. 22. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "God forbid it, Lord," he said. "That must never happen to you." Jesus turned around and said to Peter, "Get away from me, Satan. You are an obstacle in my way, because these thoughts of yours don't come from God, but from human nature." All right, let's talk about 23 real quick, because, wow, there's a lot of, like, this is great. It's a shame G is not here for this episode, because I feel like we got to stop every few seconds to talk about what's been written. So 23 is a pretty, like, interesting verse, because it specifically names Peter as Satan. So I think it's pretty important that we talk about the context of the word Satan. So Satan just means adversary. So he's not like literally saying that Peter is Satan. He's just saying that idea is like an adversary to God's plan. It's kind of like Satan using selfishness, the selfishness of Peter, which, I mean, if you think about it, it's not like that bad, but it is selfishness, because but it comes from a place of love, which is why it's not like super bad, because it's like he just really loves Jesus. He doesn't want Jesus to die, but like Jesus knows he's got to die, so that's the whole. It's like, you know, you're the adversary of the plan, I guess. But he's not saying he's literally Satan. 24. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If any of you want to come with me, you must forget yourselves, carry your cross, and follow me." I thought it was deny yourself, carry your cross, and follow me. King James? Oh, and yeah, it said unto Peter, "Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men." Then Jesus said unto his disciples, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross, and follow me." So I remember the King James version of this. Sounds better, too. For if you want to save your own life, you will lose it. But if you want to lose your life for my sake, you will find it. You will gain anything if you win the whole world, but lose... Will you gain anything if you win the whole world, but lose your life? Of course not. There is nothing you can give to regain your life. For the Son of Man is about to come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will reward each one of you according to his deeds. I assure you that there are some here who will not die until they have seen the Son of Man come as King. All right. So basically, he's just saying, like, you might die if you follow me, but you're going to gain everything. And if you gain everything on earth, but you don't follow me, you're going to have nothing. That is essentially what I'm getting there. Yeah. Great chapter here. I feel like there was just so much to, like, pick apart and talk about there. How long have we been going on for? 15? How long is this one? Oh, this is a short one. We'll read this one too. Give me 1 sec. G is going to be so confused. We're going to be like 2 chapters ahead of him. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and the brothers James and John and led them to the high mountain where they were alone. As they looked on, a change came over Jesus. His face was shining like the sun, and his clothes were dazzling white. Then the 3 disciples saw Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Okay, so this is we're gonna stop and talk about this here real quick. People talk about since it's Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus on the mountain, they say that that's who's going to be the 2 prophets, like during Revelation. So Peter spoke up, and real quick, I just also want to say, how do they know it's Moses and Elijah? Does Jesus tell them that? Because like both of these guys are like big gone, like maybe not dead. At least not in Elijah's case. I don't really remember Moses. I think Moses dies. Moses definitely dies. Right? Yeah, because I think one of the Apocrypha talks about, like, the burying of Moses' body and how that was, like, a big deal. And I think he sent Gabriel or, like, Michael to do it. Did Moses die? Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Cool. So I don't know why they keep. I don't know. Because I know one of the reasons that they say it's going to be Elijah is because Elijah technically never died. So, and I also hear it could be Enoch too. And by the way, I think we're going to read the Book of Enoch on Southern Fried Conviction because that's just such an interesting book. And the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And it just a lot of it sounds right, you know? It's like it makes so much sense with Genesis. It makes so much sense as to why Enoch was like mentioned in the Bible, but then like he only gets like one line, and it was just talking about how cool he was, and then you never hear about him again. It's like that makes sense why they would have mentioned him if he had his own book that we're supposed to know about, a book that mentions like, oh, I don't know, like the coming of the Messiah. Oh yeah, and it was written around the same time as like Genesis. Like I don't know, that's pretty compelling. Pretty compelling, especially when you hear that the reason that we know the Book of Enoch exists is because it was found with the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is like how we translate the entire fucking Bible. Like that's pretty huge. It's pretty important, I would say. And not only that, but well, I guess technically the Ethiopian church has always had the Book of Enoch. I guess that's a lie. That the reason we know it exists is because it was found with the Dead Sea Scrolls. No. So the Book of Enoch is very important in the Ethiopian church, and they've always had it. But like we can for sure say it's as old as the Dead Sea Scrolls because it was found with them and dated to be around the same time. Anyway. Verse 4. So Peter spoke up and said to Jesus, Lord, how good is it that we are here? How good is it that we are here? If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was talking, a shining cloud came over them, and a voice from the cloud said, This is my own dear son, with whom I am pleased. Listen to him. Isn't that what the Holy Spirit says, or God says when Jesus is baptized? My beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Okay, wow. Okay. When the disciples heard the voice, they were so terrified that they threw themselves face downward on the ground. Jesus came up to them and touched them. Get up, he said, do not be afraid. So they looked up and saw no one there but Jesus. As they came down from the mountain, Jesus ordered them, Don't tell anyone about this vision you have seen until the Son of Man has been raised from death. Wow, he's like, don't tell them until, I come back from the dead. Wow. That's just wild. I don't remember him, talking about how they were going to kill him. I don't remember that. I know he obviously knew about it because he's Jesus, but, I didn't know that he were just casually kind of talking about that with the disciples. Then the disciples asked Jesus, why do the teachers of the law say that Elijah has to come first? Elijah is indeed coming first, answered Jesus, and he will get everything ready. But I tell you, that's right there. Verse 11, Elijah is indeed coming first, answered Jesus, and he will get everything ready. I think this is another thing that people look at, with Revelation, and saying that Elijah is going to, lead the way. Verse 12, but I tell you that Elijah has already come, and people did not recognize him, but treated him just as they pleased. In some way, they will also mistreat the Son of Man. Yeah, they do. Verse 13, and then the disciples understood that he was talking to them about John the Baptist. Oh, well, yeah, that too. That too. When they returned to the crowd, a man came to Jesus, knelt before him, and said, Sir, have mercy on my son. He is an epileptic and has such terrible attacks that he often falls in the fire or into water. I brought him to your disciples, but they could not heal him. Jesus answered, How unbelieving and wrong you people are. How long must I stay with you? How long do I have to put up with you? Bring the boy here to me. Jesus gave a command to the demon, and it went out of the boy, and at that very moment he was healed. Then the disciples came to Jesus in private and asked him, Why couldn't we drive out the demon? It was because you do not have enough faith, answered Jesus. I assure you that if you have faith as big as a mustard seed, you can say to this hill, Go from here to there, and it will go. You could do anything. All right, let's go ahead and pause right here. So Jesus is irritated, but I don't think he's irritated, at this person. I think he's more so irritated that the disciples don't have enough faith, and that people in general don't have enough faith. And then we've got the mustard seed here. Verse 22, When the disciples all came together in Galilee, Jesus said to them, The Son of Man is about to be handed over to those who will kill him, but 3 days later he will be raised to life. The disciples became very sad. Oh, I thought it was going to be more about the mustard seed. Oh, okay, well, I guess it's just with faith in God, you can do anything. Pretty much. When Jesus and his disciples came to Capernaum, the collectors of the temple tax came to Peter and asked, Does your teacher pay the temple tax? Of course, Peter answered. When Peter went into the house, Jesus spoke up first. Simon, what is your opinion? Who pays duties or taxes to the king of this world, the citizens of the country or the foreigners? The foreigners, answered Peter. Well then, replied Jesus, that means the citizens don't have to pay. But we don't want to offend these people, so go to the lake and drop in a line. Pull up the first fish you hook, and then in its mouth you will find a coin worth enough for the temple tax and yours. Take it and pay them our taxes. That's just God will provide right there. I guess he's saying he doesn't he doesn't pay taxes to the temple because it's his house. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna end it there for today. Um, thank you, YouTube crowd, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.